And we're back. We're in new clothes and we're freshly showered. No,
Pretty
we're not.
much.
It's definitely the same day. You can trust me on that one.
Yeah.
It is exactly the time where we left off last time. We're just in different clothes somehow, some way. So what we do need to talk about is my MAP sensor and what ended up happening, because I definitely gave it a few days of testing, and yeah.
But we have a story to tell.
We do.
All right. So pretty much Gino's car is f***ed. And
Can't say that.
Yeah, but
Come on, this is PG-11 here. We need to make sure the youngsters are learning how to modify the cars and hopefully not blow up the engine. So MAP sensor, I got really excited because a lot of things started working properly, and I started noticing a lot of things started kind of clicking into place, and the clutch started feeling normal, and even the gas pedal started feeling normal. All the lights went away. I noticed that when I parked my car after I got home, you know, I'm like kind of on a little bit of a slope, and the hill assist was actually on, which caught me off guard. I was like, what's wrong with my car? But there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's now working properly. Either way, we slowly kind of like revved it up after we heated up the engine to see if it would still do that kind of like jerking, and it does. And we kind of, or at least I kind of figured that it probably has something to do with just the ignition alone. So again, this car was running without a proper MAP sensor, or at least a calibrated MAP sensor, for a while. So what that means is that it was putting out too much fuel, or just the fuel to air mixture wasn't correct. So I get the feeling that it's one of two things. It could be the MAF sensor, the MAF, not to be confused with the MAP sensor. That's the one on the airbox. Unlikely, but if it is, it's a very easy fix. I just take it out, I clean it with a very specific liquid, which I do not have the name of. It'll probably somewhere around right here. I'll put it right here, literally. That's gonna be the name of it. Yeah, okay. You just wanted to grab onto it, didn't you?
I just wanted to feel it, you know, the word.
How did it feel? Pointy?
I would say, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
No, but yeah, definitely the MAP sensor that he had before, it was creating too much combustion, which was leading to, definitely we'll say, like an unhealthy backfire. But with the new MAP sensor, just like everything looked perfect. And then the Fire Nation attacked.
We'll talk about the Fire Nation in a few, because right now I want to talk about like what we can do to like fully fix my car, because when you rev it up, it still does that kind of like jerking, but actually at higher RPMs. Before, it wouldn't even let me go past like 3.5K. Now I'm going like around 4.5, and it kind of depends also how fast I rev it up. I'm finally hitting like proper boost. So again, a lot of things just started clicking into place. If it isn't the MAF sensor, then that probably means I have to change my entire fuel system, which is an expense, but at the same time, it would be a perfect excuse to go E85. So be out on the lookout for that. We might go E85, and who knows what will happen to this engine in the very near future. What do you think?
I think, as you guys can tell, Gino's really good at memes so far. No, yeah, definitely that would be a really good excuse, because if you're just gonna change up your fuel system, you might as well go E85, especially since that would be your game plan in the future.
All about that flex fuel.
A good way to get power early, I would say. That is a good plan. So what do you think?
He's afraid that I'm gonna be faster than him. Don't worry about that. So, all right. So let's talk about what went wrong, because there are certain things that went wrong the next day after. So, where do we even start here?
I mean,
basically, okay. I'll tell the whole story, and
we were on our way to work. Yeah.
So we were literally on our way to work. It was the next morning, literally. I was late to make breakfast, so I went to go to Dunkin' Donuts, get breakfast. And it was the first time I was actually like pushing the car, and the first time I got to feel the boost in literally months, since my car was broken, the clutch went down, the MAP sensor broke, or I broke the MAP sensor. Since that all happened, I haven't actually been able to like feel the car itself, and I was finally like getting a feel for it. Maybe I was pushing it a little bit too much, but in my opinion, I kind of wasn't. So I went to go pick this guy up right after I got my Dunkin' Donuts, and on our way to work, we were pretty much like 6 minutes away from work, off of like a 25-minute.
Oh, you did get Dunkin'?
Yeah.
Right?
I did.
Okay.
I did indeed, and it was really good. So what ended up happening is I pushed the car, and as I was like switching from third to fourth gear, going like revving up to about like 3.5K RPM, we just heard like a burst of air, like a pff. Is that the proper sound? Yeah. Okay, like that, but enhanced.
It was loud.
It was really loud. Like,
so loud.
You could hear it through my music, basically. And so we both stopped. We stared at each other, and we're like, "What just happened?" And yeah, keep making that sound. All right, I didn't do it multiple times. Just one time, one loud poof. All right, and
very loud poof.
It was a very loud poof. So we looked at each other, and we're like, "Oh, like what just happened?" And just up ahead, there was actually like a red light, so we stopped. And then I noticed that my car just died. Like the revs literally went, just turned off. So I'm like, oh, what the hell? Turned it back on. It turned on for like a second and just died down off the revs again. And then after that, I just didn't even want to start up anymore. So disappointing. I was late to work. I got in big trouble. They put me on timeout. They put me in the corner for the rest of the day. No, they didn't.
Give them a spanking.
But shout out to Progressive. Definitely get that roadside assistance. They were there within. They were so quick. They were like 1 hour. They were there. It's not very quick, but they did what they could. I got it towed to my warehouse.
Wait, and then when the tow guy got there, he helped to move it to the side.
Bro, I'm telling you, some guy with a Subaru. Okay,
No.
So he doesn't believe me, but this guy with a Subaru literally pulls up in front of me as I'm in the middle of the road with everybody, and he's like, "Hey, do you need some help moving it to the side?" And I was like caught off guard because I was just under the impression that every car was gonna go by me, like past me, and I was just watching YouTube at that point. Like my car didn't turn on. I was like dying of heat in this Florida like humidity, and I was just watching YouTube, and this guy like literally pulls in front of me, and he's like, you need some help?" And I was like so caught off guard. I'm like, I didn't even know what he wanted. I thought he wanted to push it all the way to like a park that was like to the right, but no, he just helped me push it to the side of the road. I got a towing guy came after. I helped him push it in, or not push it in. I helped him push it closer to the truck itself because we were at a weird angle. I took it to the warehouse, and we left it there. I didn't worry about it. I had to go to work. I was literally like 2 hours late. I was actually exactly 2 hours late to work. Even though I was only like 5 minutes away, I had to go all the way to the warehouse and drop off the car there. Luckily enough, I went back on Saturday morning with my dad just to take a look at it. I'm sorry, I didn't get the camera. I didn't know what to expect. In fact, in my opinion, like I was like, damn, something just happened with I actually wasn't sure. I had the feeling it had something to do with what the solution was. I knew it couldn't be the turbo because if it was the turbo and it didn't, like, if the turbo just randomly broke, one, you might hear a noise, but two, like, your car would still work. It couldn't be any, like, I definitely didn't blow the engine because there was no, like, clanking noises, there was no knocking, there was no, you would definitely be able to tell if there was something wrong with the engine or any of the pistons. But the car just wouldn't, like, it would just kind of die down. So my dad lifted it up. He was a genius. He lifted it up and didn't find absolutely anything. So I'm like, how about I look at the top? I popped the hood and immediately saw the issue. It was just a charge pipe. The charge pipe literally just disconnected. I guess like from the time that I put my car back together after I took out the engine, I may have not tightened it up enough. And because I wasn't hitting for like months, I wasn't hitting boost, there was no pressure from the intercooler to the charge pipe. But now that there was, it just poofed. It just poofed.
I mean, it went from something that was constantly feeling tension whenever using the car or pressure to a point where it was just chilling. There was no need for it to ever feel used a certain way, I want to say. And then once he finally got the proper map sensor, the thing just popped off. So
yeah, it was a huge inconvenience, but luckily it was a very, very easy fix. Most people watching this hopefully are pretty capable of like doing something like that, but if not, I mean, I might as well, I'll show you one day, I promise. It's a pretty simple like clamp that you just put on. However, it wasn't so simple because we actually had to take the intercooler out because the charge pipe wasn't fitting, but that's a story for another day. So now that we're back in the car's clearly driving, there's no engine, check engine,
no,
there's no
I feel like that's important. So what, the charge pipe wasn't plugging in, so you had to take out the intercooler, or you couldn't reach in without?
No, so again, this car is rebuilt and some of the things don't fit properly. The charge pipe should have just been able to clamp onto the intercooler. However, there's kind of like a rubber housing, like kind of in the middle of it, and you have to put it inside the little like hook of the charge pipe first. You see, it's better if I just like show it. So basically you just, I'm gonna have to like blur that one out. We're making kid-friendly videos here. Yeah, it was just, it's not that complicated. It's supposed to be pretty simple, but I did end up taking the intercooler out. It was just taking the intercooler out. So now the car is running perfectly again. I would say perfectly, but except for the fact that it kind of like jerks around if you're revving up too high. But from my understanding of it, it definitely has something to do with just like the air mixture at this point, or the fuel mixture with the air. It's the same thing, right?
I don't know. I mean, what are? I mean, you're just gonna take it to a mechanic.
Water?
I think at this point, that's the best point.
No.
No,
we do not take it to mechanics. That's not what this channel is about. Listen, if you're watching us, feel free to take it to a mechanic, but just know that I'm not gonna take it to a mechanic. If you're watching this show or this channel here, you can take it to mechanic. Feel free. In fact, I would actually recommend that for you. I'm not gonna take it to mechanic unless that mechanic's name is Gino. If that mechanic's name is Gino, then I'll trust him, and that's probably because it's gonna be me. I feel like this is kind of like a learning experience, If I f up, then so be it. Nah, I probably don't want to. I think, you know what? I'm not even gonna talk. It's gonna be for the future. So we'll take a look into it. We're gonna dive into our cars pretty soon. God, this guy's got pretty big news with updates.
For sure.
But it's definitely not a beautiful morning anymore. It is very hot. In fact, the camera keeps dying on us because it's overheating. Take it away, Angel.
No, I mean, just like long story short, I want to get the Tomei, but like the thing is that reading about all these things, about the Tomei cracking and all that, cracking or just like with heat cycles through the full titanium exhaust, makes the exhaust notorious for cracking in certain areas, especially in the mid-pipe resonator. I mean, it's a full titanium exhaust, and like if there's a certain amount of heat cycles, just let's say I'm pushing my car hard that day, and then maybe I go over a speed bump or something. I hit a dip, not a dip, like a pothole or something, and the exhaust bounces real quick, and then it cracks because it's hot. I mean, that's just the only thing I'm scared of. So like, when I get the exhaust, I want it to feel like, because to me right now, like before I learned about all these things about the Tomei, it was like, this is an asset to like what I want to do to my car. But like
Sorry. Bluetooth problems, am I right?
But like if it does go like through, if it does end up cracking, or if there's a large chance it's gonna crack, then to me it's just a liability, and that's $1,000 out of my pocket at an early point in time that I could have spent it on something else. The only other thing that I'd be looking into other than the Tomei is Gino says G ready. Gino says G ready, but I've just heard so many people say Greddy, and to me Greddy just sounds cooler than G ready, being that there's no A in it in the word. So so yeah, like a Greddy RS single exit catback, definitely a nice exhaust. I mean, to me it looks like the Tomei without the burn tips and whatchamacallit, and it's in stainless steel, so that's the only difference. Obviously they both sound really nice. The Greddy has more of a deep tone, and the Tomei has definitely more of like a slightly raspy, like yelling sound. Like you can definitely tell that I mean, just driving the car, the 370Z stock, like you can tell it just wants to like yell, and there's just so many mufflers just stopping it from doing that in the car. Because to me, I'll be driving my car and the engine's louder than my exhaust right now, stock. So it's like
true. It's actually true.
But
Shout out to Nissan. They did a good job.
Yeah. For real. But right now, as it stands, it's like Tomei is still the thing that I'm pursuing, because it doesn't matter. I mean, if the only time that I read about the Tomei cracking is like if I actually Google does a Tomei crack or cracked Tomei or something like that, then that doesn't really mean anything, unless if it's like I'm looking up actual videos, like people who have Tomeis, where every time someone's swapping out their exhaust, they mention how like, oh, this is cracked, that's why I'm replacing it. But if I'm actively looking for something and you find it, that's not as bad as a thing as you just running into it. So to me, it's not a very common thing, to be honest. And I remember I saw a YouTuber where he was complaining about like how he was disappointed in Tomei because his Tomei exhaust cracked, but he literally made it clear in the video that he tapped the Tomei on a wall when he was drifting his 86. So I'm like, if you hit the exhaust on a wall, it's gonna crack.
Yeah. I mean, I've been telling him this exact same thing. It doesn't really matter.
Just send it.
Yeah, just send it. Literally full send
Literally
it.
just send it.
That's it.
I mean, it's the reason why I'm getting it. It's something that I'm definitely into. In worst case scenario, the Tomei cracks or it just falls on the road while I'm driving on the expressway. I'll just run open headers and that's fine.
You think you would ever get a custom exhaust?
A custom exhaust?
What are your thoughts on those?
I definitely didn't do enough research on it. It would be cheaper. No one's gonna make a tight.
What do you mean research? What research is there to be done?
I mean, calling up several places, getting price ranges.
Okay, well, price ranges
Because
like aside, like
there's
relatively
shops
inexpensive.
that out here, to them a custom exhaust is like you buying a setup online and then replacing the mid pipe or something, which is a quote that I kind of got from G Exhaust, because they mentioned doing ordering the Greddy exhaust single exit for me on a wholesale price, but they wanted to do the install, but that was something that we wanted to do, you know, as content, because I think that's super important. I want to do my own exhaust installation, and he mentioned basically ordering the Greddy exhaust and doing removing the resonator from the mid pipe. So I don't know, I feel like that would obviously create a better sound to it, but just definitely I'm definitely leaning more towards a Tomei. It's a pretty penny, but I'm going for that loudness 100%. I think that's the best way to hear the car.
Well, I don't think it's about like how loud they're going to be. I think they're both going to be pretty loud. Maybe the Tomei might be a little bit louder, but I think it's also about the tone. I think that's a big thing. I mean,
the tone from the Tomei, that's the reason. Like if you hear a 370 or a Z drive by, you know, G35, whatever, G37 driving by, and they're busting gears past you on the road, and you hear it, you're gonna know it's a Tomei. You're gonna know it's a Tomei. You're gonna know if it's like some NVIDIA exhaust or whatever, but you're gonna know, and that's the aspect I want to have.
Fair to say. Well, we're looking forward to that.
For sure,
Definitely in the future plans. In fact, it might even be the next video. Who knows?
Next video.
Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And of course, subscribe, please. We're definitely going to be throwing out much more content. I think, what are the days that we've chosen? Sundays and Thursdays? Is that official?
Yeah,
Sundays and Thursdays. Okay, so that's when you're going to be looking forward to a new video. Again, hit that subscribe button.
3, 2, 1.